My name is David Stocker. I'm a product manager at SAP, and I am responsible for wrangling and modeling in SAP Analytics Cloud. And in this talk, I want to take advantage of the new Breakout format to talk a little bit about our strategy in modeling and wrangling, our approach to modeling, why we're doing things the way we're doing. And I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek roadmap, sort of an informal roadmap to where we're going in the next year. I want to start first by clearing the air about the relationship between data sets and models. Data sets are models, very simple, that's it, okay? Right now, when you acquire data in the SAC, your data is stored as a fact table and accessed via one of two types of models. The first of those types of models is the traditional, what we call the account model, okay? And this is the type of model that's been around since SAC was first created. And it's the type of model that you're most familiar with. The other kind of model is called the data set. And data sets have also been around for a long time, but most of their existence, they've just been a little bit of a circus sideshow. And recently, with release 2020.QRC3, we greatly enhanced and modified and effectively enhanced data sets. There's a third kind of data set coming down the pike. It's called the universal model. And in middle of 2021, we plan to ship it. It will effectively replace the account model, and it will be the new flagship industrial grade model for SAP Analytics Cloud going forward. So this sentence here sums up the role of data sets. Okay, if you take one thing away from this session, then this should be it, all right? Data sets are a subset of models that we know for certain work with data science tools such as Smart Predict. And as a side effect, are easier to edit. That really is the core about data sets, all right? So let's unpack the two clauses. First, we'll have a look at the Smart Predict and data science use case. And then I'll show that it really dovetails with the Agile Analytics use case. So let's start with a discussion of how data is stored in models, okay? Our current standard model is called the account model, all right? And it was originally designed for planning, and later on it was adapted to analytics. If you look at the upper part of the table here, what you'll see is an example fact table from some model, okay? And this model has two dimensions. It's got a time dimension, and it has another dimension called activity. And it's got two measures. It has a count of activity types, and it has a distance covered. This sort of layout where the measures are in a columnar format and participate in every row tuple, this is what we would call a measure-centric model or a measure model. And the lower table is the same data, but in a different format. And there's only one numeric column, okay? So it only has one measure, right? And instead it has a new dimension called a count. And distance and count are members in this dimension. Okay, and this is actually how this interleaving of measures is how SAC stores data in its current models and why every model has an account dimension. So SAP Analytics Cloud currently uses an account dimension. But there are some weaknesses for account models. They're great for planning, okay? But they're not so great in other use cases. For example, if I have to always unpack my measures, okay? I'm spending clock cycles of my CPU on the unpacking process. It introduces performance issues. So if I don't need to do planning, if measures is all I need, okay, then for analytics scenarios, I can actually go a little bit faster by using a measure model. Data science tools also, they tend to either need a complete tuple of a row or a complete column. And as a general rule, Statistical tools are expecting every number in that column to have the same data type and have the same semantic meaning, okay? And this means that things like parent-child hierarchies pose a problem, because as you go down the columns, suddenly you hit a dimension member that is actually an aggregation of other dimension members. And this presents a serious problem if the tool is expecting every member in the column to have the same semantic meaning. Currency translations can also pose a problem because suddenly the data is maybe different than you expected. So these are the sorts of things that could cause issues. And what we're doing is we're creating a new type of model called the universal model. And the universal model allows you to have accounts if you need them, say if you're doing planning, or it allows you to have only measures if you don't need accounts, say you have a pure analytical use case, then just use measures. Or if you have both at the same time, you can actually use measures and accounts both at the same time. So, but now let's get to a little secret, okay? Data sets are models. I said this before, but data sets are models. And very specifically, they are universal models that only have measures, okay? The only hierarchies in them are level hierarchies. So there are no parent-child hierarchies. There are no currencies or units of measure. There are no restricted measures, and there are no public dimensions, okay? And since there's no account, there's no planning flag that can be set. So these sorts of things make data sets very friendly to data science workflows such as Smart Predict. But these exact same features also are the kinds of things that people will skip when they're doing fast, agile analytics. It's 3 p.m., you've got a dirty data set, you need an answer before a boardroom meeting by 5. You don't have time and you don't care to be messing around designing a star schema, thinking about normalizing all your data and thinking about your data quality. And if you want to use a public dimension, you don't have time to do any of this stuff. You just need to clean your data up quickly. You need to do data preparation or munging very quickly, and you need to do very minimal lightweight modeling. Maybe you want to add a geodimension, maybe you want to add a level hierarchy, and that's it, okay? And these are the kinds of things that lend themselves to being the endpoint in these agile analytics workflows, why data sets make a good endpoint for those workflows. And this is why agile analytics and data science tools, they dovetail so well together. Okay, so because the modeling is more light and because the endpoint for the agile analytics task space is it really, you know, if you look at the entire task space, models occupy the, you know, the structure first, and they occupy the planned, the pre-planned, the proactive part of the space. Whereas, you know, for the agile case, you're really down in the lower corner. So if we look at the two different kinds of models, okay, they both sit on a fact table. All right, the data set was created or edited with the Smart Wrangler, okay? The neat thing here is that by splitting the two tools, we know for certain that the data set, remember we have certain features that we can certify basically that it doesn't have parent-child hierarchies. We can certify that there are no currencies in it. We can certify that there are no accounts in it, okay? So these are the sorts of things that make it work very well with data science tools, okay? And by producing this out of the Smart Wrangler, it's a good way of saying, hey, this model here conforms to certain rules, okay? And incidentally, we also know that it had a data first workflow when it was created. If you look at the account model, or as of mid-2021, the universal model, if you created it, you know, full blown, okay? By the way, the universal model, if you create it in a data first workflow, will also use the Smart Wrangler, but you can also create a universal model by just opening the modeler and starting to draw a star schema. All right. So when we look at a model, then we'll know it was either created with a data first workflow or structure first workflow, but it's not apparent at first sight. Okay. We know that it might have been initially created with the Wrangler, but possibly edited later with the modeler. So a little bit about the data first versus structure first. So because we have basically said that the tool that creates data sets, okay, is the same tool that you use in your structure first model creation tool chain, all right? This makes it a nice clean break, okay? So the same things that you get for the Agile Analytics workflow, remember in that workflow, you're mostly concerned about being able to twist data around. I need to split columns. I need to bring columns together. I need to do some sort of advanced formula voodoo on data or on string manipulation, or do a calculation before I create a column. These sorts of things you can do right there in the Wrangler. That's what the Wrangler is very good at, and it keeps the modeling lightweight so that we can certify that it's a data science friendly model, basically. Meanwhile, with the structure first approach to modeling, this is why we use different tools there. There, you really want to think about your data. You want to see your star schema as you create it. You want to manage the data as it's coming in. You want to manage your different data loads. It could be that you're using data loads actually to do merges on your data. Okay, you want to do, for example, union joins via data merge. You can do this with a traditional model with its data load setup. We've added some features to the modeler in the past year. You can see now, you can see the star schema, you can see the data foundation, okay? But one thing is a model created this way might be able to work with the data science tools, okay? It might have no hierarchies at all, or it might only have level hierarchies. It might be very simple. It might have no exception aggregations. It might have no currencies in it, right? But we don't know that for certain. We don't know this without actually opening the model and peering inside, okay? And so for this reason, we just say, this, you, Mr. Model, created in this workflow, you have a model icon, okay? Because we can't really be sure how simple or complex you are, okay? And the model created using the Wrangler, using the Smart Wrangler, is basically guaranteed to have a certain set of features. Functionally, they're the same, okay? They're universal models. Stories will consume them exactly the same. Applications will consume them exactly the same. All right. Boardrooms will consume them exactly the same. For all intents and purposes, they are the same thing. Okay. They just have different landmark features to them. And by having that little data set icon, you as an end user, you can eyeball that. You can eyeball that model, and you know right away it was created with a data first workflow. It's a simple format. It's friendly for data science, etc. Okay, so that data set icon and the fact that it's flagged as a different model type is not intended to scare you and say, hey, this is something you have to manage differently. No, it's intended to be an aid to you, so right away you can see this model has a certain set of features. So now what I'm going to do is I want to take a short tour through a few data sets and models, and we'll have a look at certain features in data sets versus models that make them suitable or not suitable, say for the data science use case.
To demonstrate what I've been talking about, let's have a look at a data set and a couple of models and compare them. Here we are looking at a data set in the Smart Wrangler in SAP Analytics Cloud. And we can see it has a fairly simple structure, as you would expect from a data set. It has a large number of measures, it has a large number of dimensions, it has a single geo hierarchy, and it has a single level hierarchy. The level hierarchy in this case is the park type and region columns. Okay. Now we go over and we have a look at a model. This model is based on the same uploaded data and it has the same simple structure, okay? But we can't use it. For one thing, we have no way of knowing without actually opening the model that it has the same simple structure as the data set. And in fact, we couldn't use it in any case because this uses accounts, okay? This is an account model. So in any case, we can't use it. However, even if it was a universal model, and even if we had no accounts and all of the columns such as backcountry campers, campers, concessionaire lodging, etc., if they were all in fact real proper measures and they had proper measure columns, we would still have no way of knowing this without actually opening the model and having a look inside. This particular model here is even more insidious. Yes, it's an account model, but let's presume for a moment in a thought experiment that it was a universal model. Have a look at this particular dimension here. This is a country dimension. It has a parent-child hierarchy. Let's have a look at this parent-child hierarchy. If we go all the way down to the bottom, what we'll notice that there are Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe, Oceania, and these are all in the column itself. These are all simple measures. How do we deal with them? We would have to unpack this model and transform it. And then the fact that it is an account model makes the transformation even more complex. This model here, the other account model based on national park data, again, being an account model, would have to be transformed in order to be consumed by Smart Predict or data science tools. Whereas this data set, everything's a measure, the COMAR format is easy to handle.
So there's a few sessions that you might find interesting because they're related. Firstly, there's the ANA 101 session. So it's an overview of SAP Analytics Cloud. ANA 200, which is not actually listed on the list, but it involves smart wrangling, it involves data sets in a Smart Predict, really is kind of a scenario planning or scenario analytics use case. ANA 210, I go there in that session, I go a bit deeper into the agile analytics work use case. We discuss a little bit about also from an agile analytics perspective, why we built the Smart Wrangler the way we built it, why we built it in the first place. ANA 363 is a hands-on for the Smart Wrangler and of course the roadmap. There's the other sessions available from the SAP website, from the TechEd website, and thank you. Thank you for attending.